there are interesting plays that can happen if your team decides to push on Normandy. Joker, when I was on Joker, we love to push, especially on Normandy. And ooh, a really good opening shootout from the side of Oblivion, where Ranger and Gentleman, they played quite aggressive. Well, Gentleman played quite aggressive in order to get spots on the light tanks who were both fast capping the C cap, and then Gentleman put a full clip in. Ranger was able to put another shot in Quebec while trying to escape. Unfortunately, ran into a house, and that caused Quebec to get bombed just a little bit. Now, Oblivion looked like they're playing a bit up. They want to take a bit more of the map, and they've sent both concepts to this far corner over here. And this corner is kind of good in terms of putting in shots to where Senpai is, and they do look like they're putting in some blind shots with N13. So Oblivion, there is a tank there. It's just that they're not hitting them. So it seems like the 7 Rets setup, they've kind of just backed off quite a bit, especially since they've seen these two concepts on the Oblivion side just take this far corner to try to maybe pressure out Senpai. But fortunately for 7 Rats, Senpai did not bleed a single shot. And on the other side, we do see a weird B grab from Akame as well as Ranger, and it looks like Puffy Loopy is just driving into a quite precarious position. I'm not sure if he's just like lagged out while driving or if this was intentional, but it does look like he's just going to bleed to death here. Puffy Loopy getting completely bombed to death right now. Slowly but surely, they're just going to try to snipe Puffy in the position that he's at. Choo Choo does have a clip for him. Unfortunately, he's just missing Choo Choo going for the cupola of Puffy Loopy, and Puffy Loopy is going to slowly just bleed to death because of these little holes, and I'm going to try to just spectate him just to show exactly where he's getting shot from. He's getting shot from the light tank in the little side over here, and it looks like Oblivion have opened up a play on the other side of the map where they've sent Gentleman and N13 all the way through, but Gentleman just got completely bombed and nuked on that side, and I wasn't able to see exactly where he died, but I would assume he was just trying to push the top side. There we see his dead body, just trying to get to the far corner of the map, but this is game 1 for 7 Rats. Oblivion being far too aggressive in terms of just hanging, sending Puffy and just hanging him to die. I feel like if they want to, like, time a push, they could have, one, not sent 2 concepts to the far corner by the red line. And actually, this game might not be over, potentially. It's 4v5 right now, but HP is quite even, and right now, majority of the 7 Rats team is consolidated on the C side, and they do look like they're just going to drive into the ball and try to bomb out Dizzy, but if Oblivion are able to potentially try to just trade HP, but I don't think this is going to be a potential comeback for Oblivion. Yeah, it's 3,000 HP up. 7 Rats take game 1 off of Oblivion. Oblivion losing their second game in the Oblivion losing their second game in this what do you call it? In the round robin. So I think I did not hit go live on my stream, so I've kind of just been talking to myself. So I hope my stream is on right now. I hope everyone can tune in and watch right now. But a little bit unfortunate first game for Oblivion. They were a bit too aggressive, in my opinion. They should have maybe not sent Puffy Loopy to that weird position where he just got completely bombed to death. And Puffy Loopy just getting bombed, but at the same time, N13 and Gentleman they fared no better, I would argue. So, a little bit of an unfortunate first game for Oblivion. Hopefully, they're able to just, like, slow the game down and, like, try to play for better bleeds, because they did outbleed 7 Rats at the start when they got the shootout on the light tank, but after that, they just pushed into a very difficult hold to play out of. We do see the Kronvongs coming out of the side of Oblivion. Maybe they're going to go for a bit of a brawl in the middle, or maybe they're going to try to push an advantage through the ball. And Puffy Loopy still playing the Felice. Is Puffy just like the Felice like slave on Oblivion? Because that's a little bit sad. This guy's a good player. You should put him in something other than a Felice Ranger if you're watching. So we're gonna see an E5 actually make an appearance on the side of 7 Rats. I mean, I'm almost certain this E5 is going to try to drive into the plane. So he's going to drive into the bowl and just try to play safe by the plane. But if his teammates don't do a good job at covering him, I'm almost certain he's just going to get completely bombed to death by the Oblivion team, because The Oblivion guys, they are not scared when they see a kill that they can take. They're going to peek you for it, and they're going to absolutely punish Ghost if he decides to go to the ball, and they're doing exactly what I think that they're doing. So, let's see, let's see.
Time to roll out.
So we see the Oblivion Kronvons. They do look like they're going to be speed boosting towards the middle. And it doesn't seem like Ghost is going to be playing towards the ball, which is, that's fine. And we see Seven Rats are going to get the cap advantage, and it looks like Dizzy does get reset by Quebec. Very well placed shot from Quebec just to guarantee that Seven Rats has the cap advantage. But it looks like these Kronvons, they are itching. They're very itchy. They got a nice shootout on Quebec once again, but whether they're going to be able to do much in this position, I'm not so sure. And we see that Dizzy has completely abandoned the C cap totally, and he does get spotted by Trath. And I'm not sure if the tank in the corner, N13 is going to be able to put in some suppression fire into Trath, but he does. Well played from N13 putting in that shot, which is now going to enable Dizzy to step onto the C base and grab the cap. And interestingly, we do see Ghost in this kind of a bait position to try to cover anybody trying to step into A. And looks like Oblivion are going for a weird shootout where they're trying to blind fire the light tank, and they're very close to hitting the light tank, actually. Quebec kind of playing a bit of a dangerous game right now. But as long as he just doesn't play into a weird, like a very obvious position, he should be fine just like playing by the red line. So it looks like Oblivion, I'm not sure if they know that Ghost in the E5 is playing the A reset bunker, but Dizzy should actually be able to spot him. They do spot him, so Dizzy, probably good vision on Dizzy's end. He tries to put a shot to Ghost, which doesn't really work out well, but Ghost is going to be spotted 420 because of that. So Oblivion know that, okay, they have a tank that's kind of covering A side, so A cap's probably not possible. But if push comes to shove, I feel like Ghost could potentially be like a bleedable kill if Dizzy decides to play onto the beach and just play for angles on Ghost. But we've seen an Oblivion rotation going into the bowl, just crossing over Akame, Gentleman, and Steve, just all driving into the bowl straight from the middle, which is going to give Oblivion immediate momentum going into this 7 red setup that they have. And we do see Trath getting shot. One good shot from Ranger. Quebec still sniping in the back line. And Oblivion, they've kind of just backed up 7 Rats, but they do get a lot of vision on where the 7 Rats tanks are. 7 Rats are down a significant amount of HP, about 4,000 HP difference. Choo Choo is going to be the first tank dead for 7 Rats, I'd say, because Ranger and N13, all they have to do is just pen their shots on this guy, just HE him to death if you have to, and tanks go Choo Choo does go down. And now we see Ghost is able to drive out of his position where he was just baiting A, and now he's getting a bit of an off angle on the Oblivion tanks in the bowl, but Dizzy has a counter angle to Ghost. Draconics is going to try to potentially drive up. Never mind. Quebec is actually going to drive to counter Dizzy. Dizzy knows this. He's going to try to run away slowly or quickly, and Quebec still getting the off angle, trying to hunt down the light tank, but the Oblivion tanks, they have regrouped. They've regrouped. They've improved their position. N13 Ranger going for the isolation on Black Viper. Black Viper does fall, and these Oblivion tanks all consolidated towards the middle are going to go for the kill on Senpai and Draconics. So also Ghost fell down in the meantime, and we see Dizzy getting hunted down by the 2 light tanks, but this was just too little too late from the light tanks. They had to make a move much earlier than that, and I'd argue that Oblivion, they had some really good bleeding 7 Rats. They just got completely outplayed, I'd say, in terms of just the shots they took, the positions that Oblivion were able to, you know, break their hold from. Like 7 Rats, they kind of just gave it to them, really. I didn't really notice the HP differential until later on in the game, but Oblivion were up about 3,000 HP, and then they made it 4,000 HP with a kill on Choo Choo. So, yeah, Choo Choo, Black Viper, these guys these two Krons just got completely bombed. And if we take a look at Oblivion's damage spread, this is the dream damage spread that you want to see. Everybody is doing about 2,000 damage, which is, you know, very nice. Very, very nice. So, we're going to see Black Goldville as the next map. And I'm curious to see what kind of strategies that these teams have in mind for Black Goldville. So here in game 2, Oblivion decided to, you know, not just play like idiots in terms of just pushing blindly. They decided to play a bit of a slower game, play for bleeds, and then they won. And it was quite a dominant victory, I must add. It was about 8,000 HP for Oblivion at the end of the game, and I think 6 of their tanks were alive. So that's a very strong performance, I must say, especially against this 7 Rats team, who seem to be they seem to be the number 2 seed in terms of like the standings, at least like from what I understand of their current standing in the tournament, and then how they're stacking up against Oblivion. But actually, you know, I'm just not gonna speak about that anymore. Let's just watch this set, and then we'll determine who's gonna be the number 1, who's gonna be the number 2 seed, because score is tied 1-1. Let's see who is gonna be able to take the first game on Goldville. Goldville is a bit of a classic comp map. It's not one of my, like, it's not a map that I particularly like or dislike, but we're gonna see if maybe 7 Rats or Oblivion decide to go for a shootout at the start, because what you can do is you can actually shoot the enemy team from spawn, which is exactly what they're doing right now. Both teams are kind of sending shots at each other through the spawn, from spawn. So fortunately for either team, none of those shots hit, so everybody's going to be full HP. And we see Oblivion strong arming the C-Cap. They do look like they're going to descend about 5 tanks that way. They're staying N13 alone into the middle, and then Akame just spawning a bit of the top. Well, the rest of the 7 Rats seem to be strong arming the A side, but cap advantage is going to go to Oblivion, and I'm not too sure if these 7 Rats tanks are going to be potentially playing for the middle. We see Turdy kind of just drive over in the open. I'm not sure if he's going to get punished or not for this play. It looks like maybe Turdy's going to drive towards the pipes to try to take a bit of map control for the side of 7 Rats, which I would argue is going to be very good for them. But, ooh, we see Tanks Go Choo Choo eats a massive clip from Ranger, so well played from N13 for keeping Choo Choo spotted, and also well played for Ranger for being patient in terms of his positioning and then playing for the shots. And we see Turdy, he is going for the pipes, but he gets completely bombed. N13 and Steven putting in some very well placed shots, and Turdy, he is supposed to play for a bit of information on the Oblivion hold, but he's completely just bombed himself to about half HP, and he's a potential push target for whenever the Oblivion team decide that they want to play for a potential kill. But Tanks Go Choo Choo is also about half HP as well, so the Oblivion team, they are doing a very good job at bleeding all these tanks. And in this current matchup, Oblivion, or 7 Rats looks like they're trying to build up a push towards the seaside, but look at Dizzy. Dizzy is just going to permanently light up. That push is not going to be the push that they want to make, and I feel like as soon as they just drive maybe a couple meters forwards, Dizzy is just going to completely spot their push and just get them completely bombed. And just like Dizzy gets spotted on in the C corner, and I wonder if these 7 Rats tanks are going to use that as timing in order to start moving closer, start creeping closer to the C-Cap, because what happens now is that Dizzy can't spot all these heavies, and by the time he does spot them, it's going to be too late for Oblivion to set up a massive shootout. But it looks like, the Oblivion tanks, or the Oblivion team has spotted the 7 rats on their migration towards the seaside, and this rotation is getting punished by Oblivion. So, well played for Oblivion, putting in some very good shots cross map, but Ranger bleeding over 1,000 damage in the corner. That is not what you want to see. Oblivion have just basically lost a lot of their control over the corner, but Steve is going in to try to reinforce, and this is actually going to be the 3v2 advantage for 7 rats, but whether they're able to act on it or not, I'm not too sure. Ranger is down to a one-shot. Ranger, 87 HP. He needs to try to back out play safe. Draconics is 1v doing Steve and Dizzy in the far corner right now, but Black Viper is going to be able to come in and help. On the other side, we see Turdy dying in the middle. Oblivion decided to take that push, and they did pretty well with that. But in the corner over here, we're going to see Senpai fall down, but they're going to trade Senpai for Steve. But Ranger, he's so low. If Dizzy is able to get the kill on Draconics, which he is, Black Viper is now in a lot of trouble because he's going to have to try to fight the light tank, but he also needs to hunt the kill on Ranger. So does he decide to get farmed by Dizzy or go for the kill on Ranger? And we see here, Ghost is in a lot of trouble. He is a one-shot, and he's putting in a lot of effective shots into the middle, trying to crossfire out N13, and Ghost able to just stay alive just a little bit longer. It is a very close game for both teams. Akame kind of potentially caught Group getting a hit by Chuchu as well, and I say that this game, it's going to depend a lot on how Quebec tries to position his tank, because this game is potentially still winnable for 7 rats. It really depends on how Quebec is able to apply his light tank and whether Black Viper is able to just not bleed any further to Dizzy or to Ranger. He needs to just hold his shots and be. Oh, he tries to put in a shot into Ranger, but unfortunately he just bounces a shot, and now Dizzy is going to take all the time in the world to just farm out Black Viper, and Black Viper is going to fall in the corner, and this is looking more and more like it's going to be an Oblivion win. Oblivion are also up on caps as well. They're now at 925 points, 930 points. Quebec was trying to look for some pot shots in the corner, potentially try to pick off either Dizzy or Ranger, who were both one-shots, and I feel like if you are 7 rats right now, you kind of have to try to sneak Quebec into the corner, but Group is pre-aiming at Group, doing a really good job at trying to cover his teammates. And if you are Quebec, you have to go. It's 980 points. You have to go. And unfortunately, this is going to be an Oblivion victory just because of a bit of a hesitation on the side of the light tank. He had reactive armor as well. I would have just drove in. I would have just tried to go in, potentially try to do whatever I can, because at that point, you're the only one who can make the play for the team. Everybody else kind of has to try to cover for you. And I do think 7 rats, they had a really good chance of winning that game. If the corner brawl was just a little bit better, they would have actually won the entirety of the corner. They would have killed Ranger, they would have killed Steve. And Dizzy, he would have had to try to run away, and he could have potentially gone crossfired on the way out by the heavies that 7 rats had in the middle. And on the other side, Oblivion, Ranger just bleeding a lot of damage. He was able to survive at the to the end of the game, but he was bleeding quite a lot. I feel like it was just kind of RNG that kept him alive. And then Group, despite staying alive till the end of the game, did 2 shots of damage. That's not what you want to be seeing from a scoreline for one of your crons. So we're gonna see a bit of an interesting tank choice from Ranger. He's gonna be playing a 60 TP, and I'm more than certain he's going to be playing the 60 TP at this bunker in town. It's a very good position for a TP, and I'd say it's uncounterable. So we'll see if Ranger's able to go to that position I was talking about, and we'll see if maybe 7 rats knows a way to counter it, because I sure don't. See if any team goes for some shootout. Ooh, some really close shots. Ranger immediately popping his adrenaline and tungsten. And I do want to see exactly where Ranger is going to drive. If it's a spot I think he's going to. Yep, it's a spot I think he's going to. Yep. So, this position right here is supposedly uncounterable. If anybody knows a way to counter this position that Ranger is going to, right here, please let me know. It would be very, very good information to know. And we see Oblivion with the early cap advantage with sending N13 in the concept straight onto the C base. And I'm not sure if 7 Rats are gonna try to play towards the Oblivion spawn. I'd say just like play a bit slow. See what... Oh, they don't even have a light tank, so... Neither team has light tanks, so this is gonna be a bit of a slower game. Just in terms of rotations and getting vision. So... I'd say right now, 7 Rats do look like they want to potentially play for repush on C like they did last game. They're sending Draconics and Trath very far back, just redline rotation all the way from A, leaving Senpai to kind of guard the caves alone, and then potentially Black Viper to... Ooh, actually, Oblivion capped B as well. I didn't even realize this. I'm blind. Okay. So somehow they were able to cap B, and Ranger... I guess he was shooting down a house or something. Yeah, there was like or actually, I'm not sure what Ranger was shooting at. Maybe he had some beef with the ants in the ground or something. And we see Ghost going to go towards B, and he does get spotted by even Steven, and Ghost puts a gamer shot into Dizzy. Well played from Ghost, and Ranger flops his shot on Ghost, and now 7 Rats are going to be able to just cross to the corner because the majority of the Oblivion tanks have just wasted all their shells trying to shoot Ghost. But Ranger's going to be reloaded very soon. Trath taking over 1,000 damage. Trath gonna eat a massive shell from Ranger, 784. And N13 alone in the corner can actually just back up and just be completely safe, I'd argue. There's a lot of cover that he can take, and he's so low profile as well that he can just like stay alive here. But it looks like Quebec has a counter angle on him from the position that he's at, and he puts in a really good shot into N13. N13 is going to die here, which is going to be a great pickup for 7 Rats, but Oblivion are still going to be up on the caps, and if Akame is able to beat Senpai in this 1v1, but Quebec does look like he wants to go to try to support on Senpai. So right now, if you are Oblivion, you actually kind of need to play into the middle, try to go for the kills on Ghost and Black Viper. This is actually really good for 7 Rats. 7 Rats are going to pick up basically 2 kills. They're going to be up on caps shortly with this kill. They are up on caps. They have double caps, and Oblivion are basically just boxed in. Look at the map. 7 Rats have 1A, they have 1C. They're going to slowly just box Oblivion in. And unfortunately for Oblivion, I don't think they have any form of counterplay in order to win this game. The moment they lost N13, the moment they didn't make a play into the middle to try to pick up Ghost and Black Viper, they just lost the game. So, Group getting bombed from where he's at, just getting completely crossfired from townside. Group slow is going to fall to Choo Choo, and 7 Rats have all 3 bases, and this is going to be a tie match, 2-2. So, well played from what do you call it, 7 Rats. And I guess the counter to that position that I was talking about with Ranger into TP is just push C anyways and win C. N13 getting crossfired very smartly by the 215B, Quebec. Quebec, he had a really good angle on N13, and it worked out very well for him because he was able to put in a very effective HE shell, almost doing 600 damage to the concept. And if I were N13, I thought that spot where he was at was safe, but I guess not. So maybe he could have just like backed up and just like, or not backed up. He could have just turned around, just ran completely out. Just to not give 7 Rats a tank to play for. And we're going to see Canal. Canal is a very good map, in my opinion. It's a large map, lots of elevation, and a lot of flexibility in terms of the kind of strategies and lineups that you can play on the map. So we're immediately going to see an interesting IS-4 double bat chat strat from 7 Rats. I'm almost certain this IS-4 is going to drive into the ditch, like right below the D side. So he's going to path himself from 7 Rats spawn and just kind of drive down the ditch and try to get into this like small position that's like right below the D side. And then we're going to see double concepts, a Yo, double RHMs, a Kron, and a Felice on the side of Oblivion. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm not too sure where they're going with this, but seeing that there's a Yo, they're probably gonna go for a nuke or something. Maybe a nuke on a crossing or something. So we're gonna see how that goes for them. I'm wondering why Ranger's the one in the Yo. Usually you'd want like your best mechanical player to be playing Yo, so like either Dizzy or Gentleman should be playing the Yo, not Ranger. Ranger needs to be playing the Felice, so we're gonna see if this IS-4 is gonna do exactly what I think he's gonna do. Never mind. Okay, so he's gonna actually drive to the ditch on A side, but we do see Oblivion. They do look like they want to play towards D side, and they're sending double RHMs towards D. Dizzy is going to drive down low, maybe try to spot a crossing for Oblivion to shoot out, and we do see Ranger is setting his tank up to try to go for the shootout if any tanks do decide to cap the or if any tanks do decide to cross, but it doesn't look like that. 7 Rats are just sending triple lights towards the A side. They're sending the IS-4 to the A ramp as well, and cap advantage is actually going to go to 7 Rats, which is going to be very good for them, especially since they have a triple light tank lineup. So now Oblivion, they have to try to get a cap advantage somehow against a triple light lineup, but it's going to be very difficult. Their only play really is to try to potentially play for C, but I'm more so curious to see whether 7 Rats are going to be able to get a lot of value out of this double Kron bait that they have set up in their spawn with Ghost and Draconics just hiding around this corner. That spot is not going to be, they're not going to be able to spot that corner unless maybe like Dizzy tries to play very smart. A lot of blind shots going around the map right now, and yeah, lots of blind shots flying around the map. And I feel like if you're Oblivion, you need to try to scout out the 7 Rat spawn, as scary as that sounds. And if Dizzy maybe tries to like climb up onto like this hill right here, he could spot these two 7 Rats Krons, and they would actually be just push targets for the Oblivion team. All Oblivion would have to do is just rotate, you know, maybe one more guy with them, and then they'd be able to just get the punch on them. And it does look like Quebec tried to make a step onto the A base, or not A base, the B base, despite 7 Rats being up on the caps. Quebec getting punished quite a bit for it, which is not the greatest thing, especially since you're already running a very light lineup anyways. Ranger taking a very good shot onto Trath by, I think it was Akame, and we do see Group and Even Steven are going to be driving down the lane, already going to get bamboozled. Akame is with them as well, but this is potentially going to be very good for Oblivion. Even if one of these concepts gets nuked, Ranger is in position to, you know, support them as long as he stops running away. And they do spot the Krons. They are just going to drive in. Ghost eating 2 shells. Ghost is in focus fire now. The Krons, the bait has been, you know, the bait has been spotted. And we see that Group is doing a really good job at trying to HP center for Even Steven. I wonder if these Krons are just going to dump on the light tank. Akame eats a massive HE shell. And now we're going to see Draconic shortly fall because he is just alone against effectively 3 tanks. And we do see the repush on the side of 7 Rats. 7 Rats are sending all their light tanks or 2 of their light tanks and a Kron back to their spawn. But fortunately for Oblivion, unfortunately, Akame is actually going to fall to that. Ranger trying to wrap around the rear of the spawn repush. Draconics needs to die very soon. Trath is dead. Ranger putting in a massive clip with his Yo. And we're going to see Gentleman probably climb over the hill and try to go for a bit of reinforcement to help win this brawl. And I think this is an Oblivion win. They weren't scared of the beta at all. If anything, they weren't anticipating it. The fact that they sent, you know, both concepts as well as the light tank down the lane, they were ready for it. And they didn't even hesitate or anything. They just went straight in. And on the other side, I'm not sure what happened on the other side, but Oblivion won that side as well. I guess maybe the main fight was 100% in the spawn. So 7 Rats, they tried to reinforce their spawn with 3 more tanks, but by the time they reinforced the 3 tanks and got, the kill on Nakame, they already traded effectively 1 for 2, and then shortly after, Trath died to Ranger when Ranger went into wraparound. So it was basically a they just lost 1 for 3, really. So a little bit unfortunate for the Sun Rats. Even though they had cap advantage, they set up a weird bait in their spawn, and I don't even think they were set up for it particularly well, because ideally, if you're going to set up a bait in your spawn, you should have a couple more tanks ready for the repush. Like, their reaction was quite slow. If they maybe did the repush a lot earlier, like had tanks already tucked behind, like tucked in this one certain pocket, ready to repush, Oblivion would have been in trouble, in my opinion. But again, they would have had to commit a lot of tanks just sitting in their spawn being rather useless. All banking on for Oblivion to bite the bait, which they did bite. It's just that, I guess 7 Rats, they didn't want to, put their eggs in one basket, which is understandable. So, we're going to see Gentleman in the TP. Okay, we see Ranger in a 116. Okay, that's a much more suitable tank for him. And I think they're gonna go for a nuke as well this game. I feel like Oblivion. Don't think they're playing a 60 TP without a reason, like without a good reason, because this tank is like, I mean, it's a good tank. It's just it's not very common to see it, especially in this meta. Seven Rats, are you guys going to be able to force a tiebreak? I'd love to see a tiebreak against these two teams. And they're both definitely playing at a very similar level to each other. And it's not very clear to me like which team is obviously better, because like a lot of these games have just been like back and forth. Time to roll out. So we're going to see Seven Rats again playing for A, and I wonder if Oblivion... Oh, okay, so it looks like Oblivion are going to be driving, a couple of their tanks, towards the A, well, towards the middle, and we see Ranger just potentially... Ranger could get bombed here if he's going to go to a certain position that I think he's going to go to. Does he get spotted by the Ice 4? He gets spotted by the Ice 4. He is just sitting, like, just going side on, and I don't think that's necessarily the best, that was the best play from them to make, and we do see early cap advantage go for 7 Rats because they're able to cap B relatively unscathed, and now they're sending their light tank in a 116 to A, so they've actually also boosted Quebec on the other side of the map over here. Let's see where he's at. So Quebec is boosted. He's kind of anchoring the entirety of the 7 Rats spawn just by himself over here. And Oblivion are down on caps, and it looks like they get a massive shootout on Ranger. Ranger getting completely bombed to death. Ranger is dead. What happened to you? So Ranger just tried to back out, and I guess all these Krons were just like looking for him. So he was just like trying to back out here. He got probably spotted by maybe like Choo Choo and Trath in this corner, and he just got completely nuked to death. And Oblivion, they're trying to make a bit of a counterplay by sending even Steven N13 towards the center, but I don't think it's really gonna work. This is going to be game for 7 Rats. There's not really much that Oblivion can do in terms of counterplay. Senpai is looking for a bit of a counter angle on Steve, and Steve is in a lot of trouble. He's in between 2 Krons and an Ice 4, and Choo Choo actually getting bombed down to 2 shots of damage himself, but he's in the back. He should be, relatively safe, and we do see Dizzy trying to play a bit like Mocha and just go for a light tank versus a heavy tank brawl. And Quebec is going to have a very nasty counter angle on him. Dizzy cannot make that same peak anymore. And despite 7 Rats getting an immediate tank bombing, they are actually this game is actually very close in terms of the HP, which is quite surprising to me. Oblivion doing a decent job at bleeding the 7 Rats tanks, but this light tank 1v1 up top, Dizzy is getting finessed by Quebec right now. Dizzy is going to slowly die. Dizzy, One shot, two. Okay, he's going to absolutely die to the T-100, which is going to force Oblivion's hand. And this is going to be, for sure, a 7 Reds victory. They were not able to win the top side up with their light tank. N13 dies. Group trying to make a bit of counterplay, potentially opening up a better angle for Oblivion, but he's getting pre-aimed by a lot of these Kronfunks. He's going to go for the kill on Choo Choo. He bounces the shot on Choo Choo. He's getting completely bombed to death. Group had over 2,000 HP before making that crossing, and now he is 64, and Oblivion are gonna go to tiebreak against 7 Rats. So, well played to both of these teams, just kind of taking games one off of the other. So, this is great. This is great right here. I'm excited. The very first tiebreak I've gotten to spectate for this top 8, and I'm all for it. Both of these teams, they both have 4 points so far in the round robin. And Ranger doing 0 damage. Maybe you need to play a Yo with like Reticle or something, you know? Something like very low skill, but you know, I'm gonna give I'm gonna give you like, what do I give you? I'll give you a heart. I'll give you a heart. Alright, we're gonna see tiebreak, Middleburg, and 7 Rats actually has the good spawn for the top side. So I'm curious to see whether Oblivion running a 4005. So I've seen them run a 45 or 4005 before on Middleburg, and this tank usually goes up top, and usually the rest of the Oblivion team goes up top. So does Oblivion go to the top side and fight 7 Rats who has the better spawn for top side? And there's a certain position that I want to point out for why I think like the North spawn is a lot stronger of a spawn for playing the top of C on Middleburg. So 30 seconds. Let's see who comes out on top in this matchup. This is pretty fun set to watch so far. Both teams kind of just duking it out, pulling one game after, you know, off the other. And it's been back to back to back. Quite literally back to back to back, right? So Senrats won game 1, Oblivion won game 2, Oblivion won game 3, but then 7 Rats won game 4. So yeah, it's basically been kind of like back to back. Like they've been tugging the rope one side, then towards the other. It's checking the stream. Work ethic. Start streaming. Okay, all good. Awesome. Why did Oblivion do that? They had B and D. If you're talking about game 1 on Normandy, yeah, I'm not quite sure what they were doing on that game. The Ranger shade. Well, it's not really shade. I'm just kind of pointing out the obvious. And then Mizuhara, what's up? Oh, what's up, Mizu? You are having a wonderful day. We're gonna see Oblivion. They are gonna be playing the top side with the 4005, but they're only sending 3 or 4 tanks up, or actually no, they're sending 5 tanks up top, while they have the Felici kind of defend B, and then 2 and 5B is gonna be playing in the far corner of town to try to spot the wide angle. So already 7 Rats has cap advantage, and it doesn't look like Oblivion are too keen on trying to cap the B base. Maybe they would send N13 to B shortly, but it looks like they're just trying to take a bit of more control on the top side, and they're able to actually bleed out Senpai just one shot, which is okay in the grand scheme of things. And Dizzy looks like he is going to want to try to step onto the C base. So the 7 Rats have tanks ready for the reset, and they do have Choo Choo in the far back corner, but I'm not sure if they're going to be able to reset both the 116 as well as Dizzy, and they are actually double stepping the bases now. So N13 on B, and then we have Steve and Dizzy on C, and we're going to see Treff play the position I was talking about, where you can kind of just like play hold down here and just be an absolute menace, but it doesn't look like 7 Rats are too keen on trying to get more than just one HE shot into Dizzy or Steve. It's generally just not worth the over peak, especially since you have to kind of shoot at them since they're hold down, and you have to expose a lot of your tank if you are, you know, 7 Rats. So Oblivion are able to get the cap advantage. They are taking, they've backed up. They've given a lot of ground, I'd say. So Treff is able to position himself in the, well, not perfectly position himself into position for shots. He's just kind of just spotting right now, trying to get a bit more information for his team. And I wonder what is the game plan for both sides, because it looks like Gentleman has been rotated up top, and it looks like Ghost also rotated himself up top as well. So we're gonna see like a 1-6 split on both sides, or on both for both teams, and they're both playing, majority of their tank up top, or majority of their team up top. So pushing top is going to be giga chopped, no cap. I agree with that, especially since Oblivion have a 40-05. So I wonder if Seven Rats are going to try to maybe make a play onto B. I feel like the play onto B is probably the best possible play, but again, Ghost rotated down, so it feels like Seven Rats, especially with their tank distribution, they're going to try to make a play on C, and I don't think that's going to be very good for them at all. Group is just playing the very top of the hill, trying to spot out, but Six tanks top, yeah, and he would be right about that, actually. He is 100% on the mark about that. Akame actually rotating down, so he is actually not right about that, whoever typed that in the chat. So, Oblivion, but these Oblivion tanks, they're well positioned to just cover each other, and we do see the movement up top by Seven Rats. Ghost putting it, getting clipped out by Dizzy right now, and Dizzy is able to put in his full clip, but Dizzy, he might get potentially caught here. He gets stuck on the corner of the wall, but he's able to back up just in time, just into safety. And we do see Seven Rats are going to go for the C-stop, but it's 900 points for Oblivion. Ranger making a bit of a play on the outside lane, putting a lot of pressure on Trath. Trath and Draconics are not going to be able to cap the base, and Oblivion are slowly going to win this game as long as they're able to hold on to the B base. And Akame is going to go for an aggressive play onto the 215B, but he's being supported by N13. This 215B is going to die in town. If Oblivion are able to just survive, just buy a bit more time, they're going to win on caps regardless, because it's 970 points. They have to play for Dizzy. Seven Rats need to just punch Dizzy. They are able to punch Dizzy right before the caps hit 1,000. 990 points. Seven Rats needs another kill. They're able to pick up the kill. They're able to pick up even Steven. Group is also going to be in focus fire. And never mind, Oblivion are barely able to just win. Oblivion barely staying alive. That was one of the closest tiebreak games. As soon as Oblivion was about to hit 1,000 points, they were at 990 points. The Seven Rats team were able to convert for Dizzy. And then they were also able to pick up Steve as well. And then I don't remember, I think Group was the next focus fire target. I'm not sure if I got a good look at where he was, but that was such a close game. I feel like if Seven Rats just made their play just a little bit earlier, while the 4005 was still in the deep corner of town, or just towards the entrance of town, they could have won. They could have won because the 4005 wouldn't have made his aggressive play on A side, right, against the 215B. Which means he'd either have to be in transition. Do I play for A or do I play for C? And if he goes up top on C, the 215B is free to try to make a bit of counterplay on A against, or not A, again on B against the Felice N13. It'd just be a 1v1 down there. And all the 215B would have to do is just try to not suicide, really. It's kind of hard against a 4-clip, Felice in town. But I feel like the 215B definitely could have at least cap stopped and just allowed his team up top to try to win their fight, because they had a numerical advantage. It was 6v5 because of FV rotated down. That's how they were able to convert so quickly on the kill for Dizzy and on Steve, and Group was very close to dying as well. So I feel like if Seven Rats just timed their push just a little bit better, if they had just went just a couple seconds earlier, maybe 15 seconds earlier, 20 seconds earlier, this could have been a much different outcome. So, well played to Oblivion, winning that set, and they are still undefeated in this round robin in terms of the sets. So they have 5 points right now, and considering how they're playing, I would not be surprised to just see them sweep GG and Apex. So I think, who am I watching next? Oh yeah, it's gonna be Moon Rejects, and looks like Moon was able to pick up a What? What? Oh my god. What? Apex lost to Moon? Apex lost to Moon? What? Apex is not in top 4 at all. I think because Apex lost to Moon, Origin is going to be in top 4. Just off of that match alone. Origin, 4-1 against GG. Well played to these guys. Okay, unless the only way for Apex to make top 4, I think, just seeing like how the score is, where it's a 3-way like tie. Apex beat GG. Origin beat GG, right? Let's see, wait, hang on. Let me just think. Let me just think real quick. I need to think about all this. Yeah, Origin smoked GG. Okay, so if Apex if Apex wins against Origin, they're gonna have 4 points. If they lose against Oblivion, which I'm more than certain they're gonna lose to Oblivion. If they lost to Moon, they're gonna have 4 points at the end of the round robin. Seven Rats are gonna beat Metro, so Seven Rats are gonna be at 5 points. And I feel like Seven Rats versus GG, they're probably gonna beat them, I'd say. So I think Seven Rats will have 6 points. So Oblivion will have 7 points. Seven Rats will have 6 points. Origin. Okay, I think Origin's going to beat Rejects. So for sure, Origin's going to have 4 points. Same with, well, actually not same with Apex. Okay, so if Origin beats Rejects, they're going to for sure have 4 points. I'm almost certain that's going to be the outcome. If Apex beats Origin, they have 4 points. So the only way I think... Actually, no, this is so close. This is such a close race for top 4. One of these teams, Origin, Apex, GG, is not going to make it into top 4. And just looking at the potential matchups, GG is probably going to be stuck at 3 points, assuming they don't win any of those sets. Apex, they need to beat one of these teams, I think, just to secure top 4. If Apex is going to lose against Origin today, they're going to lose against Oblivion. They're going to be at 3 points. If GG loses to Oblivion, and if they lose to Seven Rats, they're also going to be at 3 points. But because of head-to-head, Apex would sneak into top 4. Ooh, that's kind of tricky. That's a very tricky scenario that's going on. So I think Origin is safe for top 4, surprisingly. So we are going to see Origin in top 4 just because they're going to be able to take Rejects. They're going to be for sure able to overtake Apex and GG in terms of like the potential matchups. Just because the remaining sets for Apex and GG are effectively just the top 4, or the teams that are in top 4 effectively. So yeah, this next set, Apex versus Origin, I think this will decide whether Apex are for sure secure in top 4 or not. More than certainly, they need to take one of these sets against Oblivion or against Origin, and the team that they have a better chance of beating is going to be Origin for sure. Okay, so I do want to do a quick strat sketch analysis of the games that we watch. So where's my OBS? Alright. Strat sketch. Awesome. Okay, so I think it was game 1. So I've been spending a lot of time on these. I wanted to just run through them really quickly. So what happened is Poffy blew up over here. And I think it was N13 blew up over here or something like that, or maybe it was Gentleman. But basically, Oblivion got a bit too hungry, so to speak, and they just pushed into a massive hold on Normandy, which lost them the game. So game 2, what was it? Oh yeah, so Oblivion, they decided to make a game of rotation where they were playing a lot of tanks in the middle. It's like tanks like this, and they decided to go for a bit of a migration where they overtook in the bowl, and then they just bled out a lot of the Seven Rats position. So they bled out a lot of tanks, like a lot of shootout here, maybe shootout here this way, maybe here. I don't really remember the exact angles, but Oblivion played a slower game, a more methodical game, and they just outplayed Seven Rats in the long term in terms of just bleeding out the Seven Rats tanks in their dug in positions. So well played to those guys. On this game, ooh yeah, this game. So if I remember correctly, it was Oblivion. They sent a lot of tanks to C. They had cap advantage. Oh, what else was there? Jesus, I forgot. They sent a lot of tanks towards C, and then when they decided to try to hold, I think they had. I don't remember their exact setup. Yeah, I don't remember too much of the exact setup, which happened this game. Oh my goodness. I'm usually good on like remembering this, but maybe since there was a lot of games, I just kind of forgot about it. But what happened was Seven Rats, they tried to make a counterplay on C, but their play on C was okay. It was just that Ranger was able to survive for a very long time, very very long time. So by the time that they were able to pick up a kill to try to convert in the corner, Ranger and the light tank were able to kind of drive in, clean up a bit of the brawl, and force it to be a 2v1, which they eventually won. And then on the other side, initially, Seven Rats, they had a tank go up to the pipes. So this guy kind of had himself like this, and he just got nuked to half HP. And I think he was just an immediate push target as soon as he got bombed to half HP. So Oblivion, as soon as they saw this play, they went for the shootout on the crossing, obviously, and they were like, okay, our guys in corner should be able to win that brawl. Let's go for the kill on the guy here, and this guy just eventually blew up. So Seven Rats, they were trying to play, or they just lost too much HP, especially for the guy playing here. Like this guy playing at the pipes is always a push target, but of course having a lot of HP when you get in this position, play this position is a lot better than getting nuked halfway in, going there, and then going to be a very easy pickup in the mid game. So that was kind of the Seven Rats or what happened to Seven Rats that game. And then on the other game, yeah, so we had Oblivion actually had cap advantage, which I thought was rather interesting. They had cap advantage, and forget exactly how their tanks were stacked. And there was one more tank, I just don't remember where he was. Uh let's put him like in the back for now, yeah. So what happened was Seven Rats they decided to take a lot of tanks and just go repush the corner of the map. They had a guy chill here. They had a guy on A. They had maybe a guy in mid, and then a guy on B. I think this is their setup. Yeah. So what happened was N13, good judgment. He ran away from corner because he knew he'd get bombed. But actually, Seven Rats played a very smart angle where they were able to split a couple tanks off. Obviously, not try to overcommit all their tanks. And N13 just got bombed to death by this angle of Crossfire, but also this angle of Crossfire, which I thought was rather interesting. So Seven Rats, they did their homework. They knew exactly how to play for the kill on the guy on C, even if he was able to try to hide behind this mound, which keeps him relatively safe, I'd say, from the C corner. But I guess maybe because of the elevation in the C corner, you could probably shoot the top roof of like the concept and kind of maybe like overmatch it with heat. So maybe that's why N13 died so quickly, but if in hindsight, N13, he could have just ran away, maybe like this, which arguably he'd still die at some point just because Oblivion, or not Oblivion, or Seven Rats have a lot of crossfire, where they can kind of just slowly work angles on N13. But regardless of what happened in the game, N13 died. Seven Rats are able to cap C. And then Akame went up to try to take a 1v1 and win A side as a bit of counterplay. But then this 215B, after getting really good shots on N13, came in to reinforce his teammate. So he reinforces his teammate. He Akame got bombed. Seven Rats were up 7v5, and they have pretty much the entirety of the map. Oblivion were just boxed into like, kind of like this sector of the map. They played for no caps, or they only had one cap, which is B. But in terms of defending B, the only person who can realistically defend B was Dizzy. Because I feel like the other tanks kind of repositioned themselves to try to win the game. I think Steve tried to go up towards A side to get a bit of counterplay in, but it was just not enough. So I think Group as well tried to maybe support Ranger, but yeah, I think Seven Rats, they did a really good job at isolating and killing N13. I feel like Oblivion, what they could have done is, since they had B already, don't even play for A. Just keep a cron back, and I would say try to hold your caps. Really, just keep guys like on C. You don't need to rotate everybody out. You can strong arm C and just have everything ready for B to defend spawn on Goldville. It's not that hard at all, really, because all you have to do is just have like maybe a guy here and then maybe a guy here, and then you should be fine on all the angles because you just do this. You can spot down this lane as well, and then this guy can actually shoot down this way as well. So I feel like the way that Oblivion played just wasn't necessarily like the best way to hold their position. And then I think, what was the last game or the tiebreak game? Or sorry, no, that was not the tiebreak game. So the maps were Normandy, Goldville. What was next? Normandy, Goldville, Canal. Yeah, Canal. Yeah. Okay, so Canal. Loki don't even want to put tanks down just because I'm feeling a bit lazy, and also the next match is going to be starting very soon. So game one of Canal. Oh, what happened? Oh yeah, so Seven Rats tried to bait their spawn like here with double crons, but Oblivion, they just pushed in 3v2. They knew that they want to kill guys here, and even when they got spotted, it wasn't even surprised. It was like, okay, we have guys to kill here. Let's kill them. And Seven Rats, they had to make a very long rotation through like the A corner to try to reinforce. But by the time that they did, Oblivion already killed one of the Krons. The remaining Kron was basically dead, and Ranger was wrapping around to try to cut off this rotation. But by the time they crossed, Ranger just decided to go in, reinforce, got a kill on the light tank, and the remaining tanks were just basically just dead in his pocket. So Oblivion, they knew what they were playing for. They played for the kill. They were not scared of the bait at all. In fact, they were pretty happy that they had kills over here in order to force a play. So that's how they won that game. The second game, Ranger just got bombed over here. Like, oh my goodness. The previous stream, I thought like on Vineyards, I thought Rob and I think it was Archangel got bombed. Nah, they were able to survive, They were able to survive, maybe put in like one shot for both of them. Ranger just got completely bombed to death in this area. So that didn't really work out very well for Oblivion. In fact, they had to make a bit of a desperate play where they tried to immediately go for a bit of counterplay in order to make up for the loss, but it was just too late. And then the last game was, what was the last game? Middleburg. Yeah, Middleburg. So what happened is Seven Rats actually got really good idea of wanting to push up top. I feel like it was kind of forced though. So two things I need to rephrase. One, not necessarily good. It was good in hindsight because the FV literally just rotated down, which means that Seven Rats had a numerical advantage up top. I feel like the way they played though, they could have maybe tried to play for a bit of a cap stop on B with the Felice, but they didn't do that. Instead Ghost decided to go up top and they decided to just push the top. And they actually almost won the game. I feel like they would have won if they timed to push just a little bit earlier, such that the FV wouldn't be playing so far aggressive on A in order to, get a kill on the 215B. But they were dominating the top brawl. as scuffed as it was, Ghost was eating a lot of shots as he was initiating the Felice, but at the end of the day, I think he was able to survive, relatively long enough, and had the caps not been so high for Oblivion, 7 Rats, they could have converted a lot of kills up top. They would have had the base up top. I'm assuming if their 2 and 5B isn't dead, they should have potentially, a winning scenario for them in the end game there, but that's kind of what happened. And let me get back to my PC Blitz. Room is up. We'll be watching Moon versus Rejects, so probably not going to be the most exciting set to watch in terms of who's going to be in top 4. But I do want to give all the teams at least some time to, shine on my stream. So I want to stream every team at least once. In terms of the teams I have streamed, let's check it out. I think I streamed Metro twice. I have yet to stream Moon or Rejects once, which their set against each other should be perfect to cover that. I think I've streamed GG maybe twice already, or maybe once. I don't remember. I streamed them against Metro. Okay, so I've only streamed them once. Okay. Apex. I think I've streamed Apex once, I believe. It was them versus 7 Rats. Yeah, them against 7 Rats. Origin, I've streamed twice, I know that for sure. It was Origin against Metro and then Origin against Oblivion. And then 7 Rats, I've streamed them twice. Once today, once with Apex. And Oblivion, I've streamed them twice. Okay, so that's pretty much all the teams I've hit, how many times I've shown them. So let's see what we've got in this matchup between Moon and Rejects. So thankfully for both of these teams, they have points on the board, which is nice. They're able to beat at least one team, and I'm quite surprised that Moon was able to beat Apex. And like Milo said in the chat, Bumbleclaw, yeah, this is like a very surprising outcome. Like I've said this before on my stream when I streamed Apex on day 1 of the top 8. And I'll say it again. Apex still always field very strong rosters with very good players, They have Krish, they have DJ, they have Kami, and they have Pharaoh, like Ferocious Kitten. And then they're still gonna find ways to just lose to teams they shouldn't be losing. Granted, against 7 Rats, seeing how 7 Rats is playing, maybe this loss is understandable. Against Moon, absolutely not. Look at this, Moon locked in, I guess. So well played to Moon, but again, Apex are just not really playing to the full potential that their roster is capable of. So let's see if Rejects are going to be able to beat Moon, or maybe Moon are going to just on some demon time right now, and they're just going to win the remainder of their sets that they have in this round robin. So we're going to be on Yukon. I'm not going to lie, I'm not a big fan of this map. I do like the map in terms of it's big, but the caps are distributed in such a way that you never really see a lot of play on D side. In terms of, well, of course, it's always important to send a tank or two just to scout out D so that you don't lose control of the entire map. But I feel like the majority of the action that happens on Yukon, especially if you're playing a team that likes to just sit, it's typically going to be town based. You're going to grab your town caps. You're going to try to hold the town angles and whatnot. We're going to see oh god. We're going to see Rejects play a lot of tanks towards the D side, and Moon are only sending one guy, one tank Keems, to the far side over here, and Rejects have complete control of the corner. I wonder if Keems is going to get bombed out of existence, considering that they have considering that they have two concepts here, and we do see Elemental is getting completely YOLO'd by all of these moon tanks through B, and it does look like Rejects are actually ready to receive this push, but on the other side, we see RB is getting completely bombed by these moon tanks. So as he was trying to push Keems, I'm guessing Keems was just able to clip him out as well as Nemo. And if you are Moon, this is actually kind of bad for Moon, despite they're going to be able to pick up the kill on Elemental, but now they're in massive crossfire to the light tank in the D corner, and the light tank Tony Flow might be able to pick up Winter. And Keems finally oh, actually RB falls. This Moon are one tank up, and this is quite surprising in my opinion. Over here, we're going to see the light tank is going to go for a bit of an isolation on the 116. Numbers on the other side is going to put some very effective shots, making Slava Dagestan a one-shot, and Moon are up one single tank. Kintz is in focus fire right now. Arturo has a clip ready for the concept, but Arturo's gonna fall very shortly. Arturo isn't able to put in his last shell into Snimho. Snimho able to pick up a really good kill, and Kintz needs to just peek the angle, just go for the clip on Snimho, but he's a bit scared, and I feel like Snimho is just going to be able to pick up two very fast kills over here for Rejects, and it's going to be very good for them. Snimho able to pick up the kill, and Numbers on the other side is trying to oppose Destined Liberty over here. Nebo putting in a very good shot into Snimho. If Numbers is able to potentially pick up the kill on Snimho, this would be really good, and he is able to pick up the kill, which is actually very gamer, because now what this means is that Moon, oh, the light tank on the side of Moon does fall to Tony Flow, so Rejects are going to win this game, actually. It looked really good for Moon, but the way that they played, the way that they drove out, Elemental kind of baited them out, just dragged them all the way towards the D side where they were in crossfire from the light tank in the corner. And I would say that's a heads-up play right there, just knowing how to back out and where to back out, because not only did he drag out the Moon tanks towards the D side, he was also able to drag them into the crossfire of Slava Dagestan. So well played from. Actually, if this Moon numbers guy just steps into the D base, Moon are gonna have all 4 bases, which is actually gonna be pretty gamer. This game is not over yet. Tony Flow is going to try to play potentially aggressive on to the numbers guy, but they're able to pick up a massive kill onto the onto Destined Liberty, I think it was. That's crazy. And Nemo is going to go for a bit of HP share, but the light tank on the side of Rejects is going to be able to pick up the kill, and Nemo, all he has to do is just hold his shell. Just make sure that he doesn't bleed any shots to this light tank. This light tank, Tony Flow, is going to try to play, like, ring around the dead tank, but he's going to rush, try to get the shot, and Moon hit 1,000 points. Nemo picks up the kill. Game 1 goes to Moon. I thought, actually, in that scenario, it was a 3v2, no, for Rejects? I wasn't, okay, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't paying too close attention to this game. I was a bit preoccupied, but that was kind of weird to watch. I'm not gonna lie. I thought Rejects had it at some point, but then Moon just had it at the end. Some reactions going on, maybe on the Rejects like side. Maybe they're like reacting to each other, but I have to say, Numbers and Nemo, y'all did good work over here. But also Elemental. I think this is Elemental. Yeah, it is. Okay, yeah. You made a heads up play, just dragging the moon tanks all the way towards the what do you call it? The D side, yeah, with your kiting. It was a 100% good play. I'm just surprised I didn't win the game for y'all. Very surprised. And we're gonna see a bit of a swap for players. So we see Choso go in for, I think, RB. So we'll see if this lineup change is going to be very good for Rejects. But so far, Moon, nice comeback, y'all. Nice comeback. My mouth is like kind of full from eating cheeses, but we're gonna see rejects go towards D side again. And I wonder, ooh, Moon Light Tank able to spot out a lot of these reject tanks. He's able to spot Sanya, he's able to spot Elemental in the back. And Moon knows that where effectively 4 to 5 of the reject tanks are distributed, and it looks like these Moon tanks are making a bit of a play towards the middle, which I think is a bit interesting because they're putting themselves in a lot of crossfire by doing so. So Slava Dagestan could potentially open up a new angle for Moon. Should they? Oh, actually, Destined Liberty getting completely bombed right now. Destined Liberty is getting peeked on by all these things in the middle, and rejects are able to return fire to suppress it a little bit, but Destined Liberty still sitting in the middle of the open. He eats a massive few more shells from Hori and the 116, and he has a one-shot just sitting duck down low. And we do see the there is a light tank 1v1 in the far corner. One versus Tony Flow, and right now it seems like one is going to be on top of this, but he can't really back up too much or else he's going to get crossfired. And we do see Snimho is going to go up to try to reinforce the light tank and win the brawl on this side, and one decides to just back up, make a gamer play, try to escape a little bit, and it's going to work out very well for him because he is going to be able to get out. But what this means is that rejects are going to have control of the top side of D, which means that they need to make fast work of the rejects team on the other side. And it does look like Destined Liberty did fall at some point on the other side of the map, and we do see the Hori Nemo does fall, and I'd say that this is going to look very bad for rejects if they lose control of the D corner. D corner is where all the map control is going to lie for this game. So Arturo and Kintz are making short work of Choso. Choso needs to potentially pick up the kill on Kintz. Is he able to pick up? He does not pick up the kill because Slava Dagestan has his back. Choso down to his reserve shell. Is he going to put in his reserve shell before he dies? He is unable to, and Moon are going to take a 2-0 victory over rejects. And I have to say that they made a bit of an aggressive play towards the middle, and I thought it was a bit of a weird play because generally the middle lane of Yukon here is a bit of a crossfire like alley. So Destined Liberty basically just got bombed to death by the Moon tanks who peeked them from the middle, not just like the middle lane, but like the kind of like the middle ramp area. So Ho-Ri and 116 just peeked here and just put a lot of effective shots into the what do you call it? Into the cron. Yeah, sorry. I'm just like forgetting to speak right now. So Moon 2-0 up on rejects, and we're gonna see rejects gonna be on Molin. We're gonna see them whipping out a G-Sword, and I'm kind of surprised in terms of how rejects is playing. I would have expected them to give a bit of a better fight against Moon, but it seems Moon they know when to be aggressive and they know how to kind of work magic, I guess, especially in the end game. So their Moon, they knew how to distribute their tanks in terms of like the last game. They knew how to pressure, they knew how to reinforce their light tank, especially when he was losing the corner. They sent a concept over there to try to reinforce in order to oppose the rejects concept, who also drove to the corner to try to reinforce. So we'll play to both well, we'll play to Moon for eventually winning the game at the end. And we're going to see a lot of concepts from both teams. So 4 concepts on Reject's side versus triple concept on Moon side. And I wonder if they're just going to go for a bit of a brawl in towards the middle of Molin. Or maybe we're going to see some of these concepts go towards the A side instead. So Molin, it's a very large map. And I actually like this map a lot for comp. There's a lot of sneaky rotations, a lot of sneaky positions that you can kind of take. And I feel like at the highest level, Mullen is a it definitely feels like, it feels fun to play, especially for me. Some other people might disagree just because they don't have a good taste like I do. But we do see all the concepts on Reject side are going to be driving towards the A base. While on the Moon side, all their tanks seem to be just driving towards town. We see One and Tony Flo actually meet each other. Tony Flo taking a massive HE shell. Well played from the Vickers over here, putting in a very good shot into Tony Flo, and Tony Flo eating one more shell as well. And he eats another shell from Kins. Kins putting in a very good shot, and I wonder if One is just going to go in for just the isolation play. He is just driving completely over, which is a bit of an over-aggression in my opinion. And One is a bit in danger if Destin Liberty decides to play aggressive on him, but I'd say One is relatively well supported by his team in terms of the fact that they're playing towards the seaside. He just needs, one or two more tanks to try to drive towards the bridge and cover for One's escape. And it looks like One might get spotted on his way out. One's going to get completely shot up by all the tanks on A side. Slava Dagestani is going to have a massive clip for him. One is going to die to Slava Dagestani. This is going to be a quick advantage for Rejects if these tanks are able to hit their shots, but Moon somehow able to just hang in there. The Baker's Light is able to somehow survive and get out. But cap advantage goes to Rejects in terms of, the cap in terms of the points. They're up about 35 points, but that was a very aggressive opening play from both light tanks. Both of them are effectively just two shots for each other, and we're going to see Moon try to play a bit towards the A side, try to potentially repush A, but that's not the best idea. All these Rejects tanks, they actually know how to play Mullen the correct way, which is if you get the cap, you hold your cap, you don't rotate around. And it looks like Moon is going to be able to send tanks over, but this is not going to be a good push up or good hold to push into. Kins is just driving in alone. He's going to get completely bombed to death by these concepts. These concepts are just going to clip him out for free. Kins is down to 500 HP, and he's put in absolutely no shots in return. He is just going to die. He's going to do 0 damage, in my opinion. If he is unable to put in any shots, he's just going to die for free. Snimho looks like he's going to get the pickup on Kins. Snimho not really picking up the kill. And Kins is able to put in his last shot into Choso. But Moon is here to reinforce, and they're not going for the kill on Kins for some reason. Elementor and Snowho decide to just not go for that kill, and now he's going to be reinforced by his teammates. And they're actually going to be able to go for a bit of counterplay on this A side, but it's not going to be enough in my opinion. They're up 3,000 HP, and we do see the light tank is actually getting completely bombed to death on this side. Teams Tactico decided that it's best for him to try to support his light tank instead of trying to 1v1 Destin Liberty, which I'm not sure if that's going to play out particularly well for them. But right here on the other side, we do see Moon actually making a bit of a gamer play despite losing a lot of their tanks on the A side. They're trying to back up and buy just a little bit of time for Teams Tactical and maybe a light tank to put in some work on Destin Liberty, but it doesn't look like they're going to win that side, and I feel like this is going to be a win for Rejects. Rejects playing Mullen did correctly. They held on to the caps that they, the cap that they had, and I'm not sure why they didn't go for the kill on Kins earlier. They could have just peeked him. Sure, one guy gets nuked, but if you're going to be playing at the Rock, that should be fine in my opinion. Or maybe the tank's up top of A, because they could have just peeked over and then just killed him. I'm not sure why it took so long for them to do that. So, a bit of hungriness, I'd say, from both teams in terms of the light tanks kind of just yodeled at each other. And the Moonlight tank was very fortunate to not die in that scenario. And I wonder if maybe this is the turnaround for Rejects. So they are now only down 1-2, but they're bringing it back. Let's see if we could potentially see a tiebreak on this set as well. That would be very cool. And just let me look at the damage spread. We do see the light tank on the side of Rejects does do only 2 shots, which is okay. He did get nuked at the very start of the game. He got 2v1'd in his light tank 1v1. Not too much to ask of him in terms of this game. And then Kins actually able to put in 2 shots of damage, which I thought was surprising. He kind of just drove in alone onto A, didn't have too much help from his teammates, but he was able to stay alive for very long, but I don't think that was because he was just outplaying Rejects. I think Rejects just didn't want to kill him for some reason. They just didn't bother to peek him. So we're going to see triple crons, double concepts from the side of Moon. And we're going to see, yet again, quadruple concepts from the side of Rejects. So they really like their concepts. And I will say it did work out very well for them in terms of getting the cap advantage on A, and then being very strong in terms of holding the cap that they had on A, because when Moon tried to push into that, Kins found out the hard way that those concepts can hurt.
Let's get this show on the road.
This time we're going to see the concepts on the side of Rejects probably go towards the middle. And we're going to see the team of Moon look like they want to play towards A. So maybe they're sending double crons towards the middle. But these 2 crons, they could be in a bit of trouble in terms of all these concepts here who could potentially just over push on them. So I wonder if Rejects are going to take a bit of initiative in the middle and try to play very aggressive in terms of just pushing. And early cap advantage goes to Moon. Vickers does grab the cap. So, ooh, we do see Choso actually getting peeked on by the Kronfong, which is a bit of an aggressive play. Choso does clip out. Unfortunately, only able to return 1 shot into the Kron, which was, I think it was an HE for about 200. And this time, it looks like Rejects look like they're going to try to play for a rotation on A, but I don't think Moon is particularly well equipped to hold A, because they only have Winter, one single heavy tank, who's going to be playing over here, and he does look like he is playing towards the middle, but the only way, in my opinion, for Moon to win this game, knowing that Rejects is going to repush A, is for this light tank in this very far corner over here to light up the entire lane as they push. And Moon needs to get the best shootout as they can on this crossing over here. And the only tank in position to do so is Arturo. So I think right now, just the way that Moon has positioned her tanks, especially with numbers kind of just sitting in the river like this, I feel like they're ill-equipped to even respond to this A play. And as well as the play... So, I feel like what Moon are doing, which is a bit of a mistake, is that they're trying to pre-aim the entrance towards town. But Rejects aren't going to do that. They're not going to send, like, you know, a tank towards, like, town. Or that far into town. And even if they do... Ooh, very good shot from Nemo. And it looks like Tony could potentially be caught, but on the other side, we do see the play on A as expected, and the Vickers isn't going to spot this in time. He kind of ran away from his position, but now and only now is he able to spot all these concepts try to cross over for the A cap, and Winter needs to play a bit safe, and Vickers needs to run out, get safe. But I'd say if you are a Rejects, you could actually just peek up on top of A and just bomb Arturo. Arturo is in a bit of a dangerous position, and these Rejects tanks, they are stopping A now. We do see the Moon rotation trying to go for a bit of more control towards the middle, potentially over push on Choso. But if you are Rejects right now, this is this is a good position to be in because you're stopping the bases and you have, you know, a couple kills lined up in front of you. Arturo is able to escape, so realistically, they're only going to be able to play for Sonya, but it looks like Moon are going to go for the isolation on Chozo. Chozo is going to fall, and Moon are going to have a very strong repush into the spawn of rejects, but this is going to be well supported from A, but actually the tanks on A are not looking for the crossfire into the spawn, they're looking for the repush onto the Vickers and the concept, which, you know, fair play to them. But Sonya is getting completely bombed on that side, and maybe Nemo is going to be able to pick up that kill. But on the other side, we see that Moon are making quick work of the reject spawn. This is going to be Moon's game to win. So all the tanks on A are getting completely bombed for the side of rejects. Arturo putting in some really good crossfire into that side, and Slava Dagasan is going to shortly fall. Kent is wrapping up behind, wrapping around on his right side, and he does fall, which is very good for Moon. And now Moon, they have 3 heavies who are just ready to just push into Death and Liberty, just get his gun out of the game. And Arturo and Nemo are both quite healthy. They can both just the 2 of them alone can just clean up these 3 tanks on the A side like this. And Moon does have to work fast because Rejects has double caps. They're up about 800 points. This is going to be a very close game in terms of the cap differential. And it looks like Tony Flo is going to be potentially going for, you know, defense or either a cap on B just to increase the cap pressure, which is actually going to be a very smart play for him to make. And it looks like if numbers falls over here, this could be a Rejects win just for points. But Destined Liberty is trying to look for the shots on the Kron. The concept needs to get the kill. He does get the kill, and we do see Kent is stopping the C base, which is good for him. But Tony Flo is going to try to get the hunt on numbers, and just because Moon was able to quickly get controls of the caps again, I don't think that this is going to be a game for Rejects to even win at all. Tony Flo trying to go for a bit of a ram just to improve his chances of getting that kill, but he unfortunately just dies. Elemental dies, and this is game for Moon. Moon up 3-1. I mean, looking at how Moon is playing, not too surprised that they beat Apex. Bit controversial of me to say that, I guess, but they're not playing bad at all. They're not playing bad at all. So, Moon, pretty good in terms of the aggression that they took. They knew that, oh, Rejects have a lot of tanks on A. Let's go for a bit of a play on an isolation, and they found an isolated target to push, which is Choso. They completely bombed him, but I'm surprised that they didn't get punished a lot by the guys on A, because what happens usually is that if you're sitting on top of the A cap on Mullen, you have very strong sight lines into the riverbed on both spawns effectively. So if Rejects just looked for a bit of crossfire from A instead of just ignore the Vickers, ignore the concept in front, because you can kill those guys at any time, really. Just look for crossfire to help out your spawn. This game could have been different. This game could have 100% been different. So we're going to see Oasis. Moon on the good spawn of Oasis. They're running a grill, which I find rather interesting. So let's see if this grill is going to be able to cook for Moon or not. It's the first time I've seen a grill, actually, this entire tournament, so that's pretty cool. Let's hope that y'all are able to potentially finish the set 4-1 with the grill. If not, that's okay. You can always run it again on the next game, and then finish the set 4-2. But let's see if they're able to win or not with this grill. You see a bit of players being swapped out. I think Snimho in for Elemental, I think it was. Or Buy the Dips in for Elemental, sorry. I'm interested to see where this grill is gonna go. So this grill does look like he's going for a bit of a blind shot. He does almost hit a blind shot there. A very well-placed shot as well. If he maybe just used reticle, potentially he could have hit it. Potentially. But we do see that both teams are going to be playing towards the C side of the map. We see Tony Flo does eat a big shot, or not a big shot, just a small shot. Failed HE from 1. But both teams are going to be meeting each other on this side, and this is actually going to be very good for the Grill if he is able to put in a couple of effective shots from where he's at. Let's see what kind of shots this Grill has once again. Looks like he's aiming, nothing, immediately to shoot just yet. And we actually already see the concepts on the side of Rejects have taken a lot of advanced positions towards the far corner of the Dune side, which is good for Rejects in terms of map control. And it looks like Satsonia can actually just creep up a bit, but it could potentially be a bit of an overextension. I will say, in terms of the tanks that are in a lot of danger, I'd say Winter is a potential isolation for the side of Moon, just because if Satsonia and Snimho just advance a little bit further up, maybe to the rock, they could just bomb Winter without getting punished too much. And on the other side, we do see that the light tanks do meet each other. Moon doing a good job at outplaying the Vickers on this side, but he needs to run away because there is a Kron that is coming. But fortunately, he has numbers with him who is able to just provide a bit of coverage. And Destined Liberty is spotted. He is able to put in a massive shot into the Vickers, which is very good. But we do see Rejects going for the push that I was talking about. Winter is getting focused out completely. Winter is going to die very shortly, and Snimmo is actually going to fall first. So well played from Team's Tactical, kind of ignoring the guy in the far corner. And Satsonia looks like he wants to run away before he eats a massive clip. And Winter is going to be able to put in a massive clip before he dies. And Sonya just gets bombed to death. So Moon in the ascendancy. Winter and Team's Tactical, two of the push targets for Rejects are both still alive. And they're going to shortly pick up Bida Dips. Bida Dips is going to fall. Nemo is going to try to oppose these two tanks in front of him. This Kron, this 116, he might be able to actually just outplay both of them. And then on the other side of things, we see that the Grill is trying to get into the action a bit. He puts in a big 500 roll into the Vickers. Vickers is now a one-shot, well-placed shot from Numbers. And if you are the Vickers on the side of Moon, I would actually try to reinforce and help the Grill a little bit. Just go back to town, because these heavies can just clean up these heavies on this side as well. So this is Moon's game. Moon beating Rejects with a Grill on Oasis, in my opinion. Or, in my opinion, there's no way they lose this, right? Yeah, so Grill is able to pick up Tony Flow. Grill is going to shortly pick up Destined Liberty, and Rejects are going to lose 4-1. Which is unfortunate, but y'all played well, I think. Well, who did you guys beat? Was it Metro? So yeah, you guys at least won one set in the top 8, which is, that's respectable. So GG's to Moon, though. You guys played pretty well tonight, I gotta say. Especially that maneuver by Keem's Tactical, like, he kind of drove out of the corner to try to put focus fire into Snimho. And then Winter was able to also just survive for a very long time. So I have to say, well played to both this guy and this guy, Winter. You two played very well. And of course, the Grill. I think the Grill actually played pretty well. He was able to be effective with his shots. And then when he saw a chance to reinforce the Town Brawl, he took it and he wasn't scared. So well played to y'all. That was pretty good. So, in terms of strat sketch analysis, I am a little bit tired. I want to end stream just a little bit early. So, I hope you all enjoyed my stream tonight. I hope you all enjoyed that very first set, which was Oblivion vs 7 Rats. That was the first tiebreaker I've watched on, or I've watched for this top 8. So, that was pretty cool to see. I guess just to check up on how the other matches are going. Oblivion vs GG is still ongoing. Let's see how 7 Rats is doing. 7 Rats vs Metro is still going. Okay. Let's see how Origin is doing. Still ongoing. Okay. Okay, so I feel like all the sets are ongoing. So this is a pretty fast set, which was, that's fine. But other than that, I hope you all enjoyed tonight's stream. And tomorrow, I have not... Actually, I have chosen who I want to watch tomorrow, have I? Yeah, so I've chosen to watch 7 Rats vs GG. So, yeah, that'll be my that'll be a stream I'll watch tomorrow. But other than that,